Are you looking for a new job or interested in leveling up? Job Search Radio is your go-to resource for insider tips on job hunting and growing your career. Here's your host, Jeff Altman.
Hi, I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and I'm your host for Job Search Radio. You know, I've been a professional recruiter for a long time, and I remember when I was very young and starting off in business, I heard all these stories about the old boy network and how there were people who were advantaged by going to Harvard or Yale or Princeton. And looking at some of the American presidents now, I can understand that that happens to be true. There are certain advantages to attending some of those schools. But I didn't go to those schools. And thus, I always felt like I had to fight harder to try to make connections. And I know a lot of other people have felt the same way, where doors were open for many individuals just by the nature of the school that they went to and the alumni who were willing to help them, and that wasn't available to me. So I thought we'd do a show about social today, and my guest is Chris Russell, who's the host of Career Cloud Radio, which is the 38th ranked business podcast in iTunes. And he's a professional recruiter. He also operates a site called CareerCloud.com, which has developed software and apps to help recruiters, job hunters, and employers really get active with social and be more effective. Chris, thank you for making time. Welcome to Job Search Radio.
My pleasure, Jeff. I'm looking forward to our discussion tonight.
Terrific. So, how did social become so important in recent years? What are your thoughts about that?
Great question. So I think there's two reasons that social is so important in today's job search. Number one is you have to be found online, and I'll kind of touch on that in a little more detail. And number two is it's a way for you to stand out. So if we go back to why you should be able to be found online through social media, it's because recruiters like me and you, Jeff, we are searching for candidates every day using keywords, trying to find the cream of the crop, right? And so if you're on social media, if you have a profile on sites like Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, of course, even Google Plus, you can now be found by recruiters who are actively searching these sites on a daily basis for the talent they want to place at companies. And it could be a third-party recruiter or it could be a corporate recruiter, but the important point is that they're out there searching every day, and if you're not there, you can't be found. And that's part of the game today in job search. It's really all about found, just as much about searching for a job yourself. And
probably even more so, Chris, because I'm sorry to interrupt, but my thinking has always been that the person who gets ahead isn't always the smartest. They don't always work the hardest, although those are great qualities to have. People get ahead by being alert to opportunity, and sometimes those are internal to an organization, but more often than not, they're external. And thus being available for when opportunity knocks is so important these days. Wouldn't you agree?
I totally agree. And, many people even think that those who are on social are a little more, a little better candidate as well, because they're the ones out there, they're trying these new technologies, a little more savvy, a little more tech savvy, and things like that. So I think being on social gives you a leg up over those who aren't, because it makes recruiters look at you in a better light overall too. So yeah. Now, social is also a great way to stand out. So you can make a name for yourself through social media, whether it's blogging, and now you can blog on LinkedIn, for example. Great business opportunity to showcase your writing skills or your knowledge of your industry that you work in. So you definitely want to take advantage of things like that. Whatever stuff you tweet, stuff you post on your Facebook page, these things are being seen by potential employers. And it's a great way for you to sort of stand out, make a name for yourself, and show them what you know, and give them some context around who you are as well. I think.
And what's funny, so much of the caution about social for years were the beer bong pictures, if you remember those. The college student, doing stupid stuff and being embarrassed and haunted by it for many years to come. But I think that story is quite passé at this point. And I think the biggest issue is just being made visible and just being seen so that recruiters, whether they're corporate or third-party recruiters, can find you and present opportunities that you don't necessarily have to say yes to, but more often than not, you should investigate.
Yeah, there's an old saying in the lottery that you can't win if you don't play. So if you don't have profiles on these sites, I think you're missing an opportunity to win that job lottery, so to speak.
I think with the exception of those who have withdrawn from sites like LinkedIn because they were just being bombarded too heavily, I think average Jane and average Joe are all there. Most people, judging by the numbers for LinkedIn, are there, and it's just a question of being active enough on the site to really create those impressions. It's unfortunate, but too often once people find positions, they don't log on for lengthy periods of time. So they miss out on some of those in-mails with job opportunities.
Yeah, you're right. In my recruiting job, I send emails almost every day, and it's always a guessing game as to who's going to reply back, right? And I've heard from some candidates that, I didn't check this. I checked this a week later, and then I saw your message. And I think it's imperative upon you, the candidate, to if you are actively looking, to really to keep up to date with everything that's being messaged to you. It can be hard, but you really need to pay attention to those types of messages.
And even if it's in the morning on your commute, it's not like you don't have a mobile phone and there isn't an app that can allow you to just check your mail for a minute to see what's there from someone. A minute, 2 minutes, it's really no big deal to do anymore. It's not like you have to be at a physical computer somewhere. The apps are very easy to work with, and just check in from time to time on your commute, whether in or out at the beginning or end of the day, and just see who's trying to reach out to you and respond. And if you're not interested in what's proposed, I'm encouraging job hunters these days to at least reply. Reply to let people know, thanks, but no thanks, this isn't right for me. And if you know of someone, refer someone. It's a kindness that you can do that will cause you to stand out in a recruiter's mind at a time where you might really need them.
Right. And I think social, too, really it empowers today's job seeker more than ever before, because now you can actually reach out to the company you want to work at, and you can contact them. There's plenty of their employees online, whether it's on Twitter or LinkedIn or even Facebook. You can find them. They're there. So it's up to you just to make a simple connection and, get your foot in the door that way. It's so empowering to be a job seeker today, because you have access to all these different tools to really help you get ahead and find that company that you really want to work for.
And find the hiring manager at that firm, too.
Exactly.
I've been doing recruiting since 1972, and I think back to what it was like to find a hiring manager back in the Stone Ages. You call the main number of a firm. You try to get an operator on the phone and get them to spill the beans as to who that hiring manager was by fishing for a job title that might fit the person who is responsible for that function. And we don't have to do that anymore. We can actually find out who that person is through Google, LinkedIn, Twitter, or a host of different ways. That may take slightly longer, but it's far more accurate.
Yeah,
what you receive. Excuse me?
I said those were the days.
Days I can live without, I'll tell you that. It was hard. It was hard to be persuasive. So, I know I want to talk with you about some of the services on Career Cloud that you're offering, but I also want to I want to pause for a second and say we're going to be back with more from Chris in a moment, but first I want to talk with everyone about my Job Search Insider tip. And the tip for this show is about applying for work. And I had one of these days today where I got so many resumes that in no way, shape, or form in any sense whatsoever fit what my clients were looking for, that I was absolutely clear about. But people submitted resumes to job listings I had on my website. And my favorite one today was the cashier who wanted to head up e-commerce for a multi-billion-dollar firm. And I can assure you the word e-commerce did not appear on this resume. The person who wanted to head up information security for a hospital, who was a security guard at a McDonald's, did you really think that you were qualified for this? You know, there were qualifications listed in that job description that there wasn't not one word other than the word the or that were in your resume. So please be respectful of the people that you're communicating with. You're not going to get the interview anyway. It's just a waste of your time and it's a waste of theirs. So be kind, be respectful. You'll wind up getting more results. So let's come back to Chris and continue our conversation. So Chris, let's talk about Career Cloud and some of the products that you have there and how they'll help job hunters be more effective with connecting through social.
Sure. So the mission of Career Cloud overall is to help connect job seekers with employers through social and mobile technology. So we, over the past couple of years, we built a variety of tools to do that. Just to give you a quick list, we have social resumes, which lets you create a one-page URL aggregation of all your different social media accounts. So if you are active on all the different social networks, you can actually create one page that represents a snapshot of you on all of those. And that's really sort of a personal branding tool that we're using it for job seekers out there. So, for instance, I use mine on my email signature, which is profile.careercloud.com/Chris. And if you go there, you can see all the other sites that I'm on. And so it's a great little personal branding tool for that. We have a product called Jobs with Friends, which is a job search tool which combines your Facebook friends along with your LinkedIn connections, and then lets you search jobs and see when you're connected to that job through one of your Facebook friends or one of your LinkedIn connections. And that's called Jobs with Friends, and it's a pretty powerful tool in terms of job hunting with people you know, right? So referrals are still the number one way people get jobs. In most companies, in big companies, it's up to like 50% of the jobs that are filled by referrals, by people you know. And so if you can job hunt along with those friends and see where they work, and when a job pops up in your search and you can see you're connected to them, it's a pretty powerful way to aid your job search and get referred more quickly.
Does that product wind up allowing you to communicate through that system with that particular individual, or do you have to reach out to them separately?
It actually does. So if you're on the platform Jobs with Friends, and you can go to friends.careerclub.com to log on, you just sync your LinkedIn connections, your Facebook friends, and then whenever you do a job search, it's going to look for the company name. And if your friend has that company name on their profile, whether Facebook or LinkedIn, it'll show up. And you'll see their picture underneath. Click their picture, and you'll be able to message them either through LinkedIn or through the Facebook messaging platform. But you stay on Jobs with Friends through it all, and they get the message in their inbox on LinkedIn or Facebook, along with your resume as well. So we've added that in there.
That sounds like a more powerful version of what Monster developed with Be Known.
Yes.
With Be Known, if you're seeing an ad on Monster for a particular job and you've registered with Be Known through Facebook, it will show that same picture underneath that job listing on Monster to let you know you have a connection there. You've thrown in LinkedIn, and that's terrific. That's a nice tie-in.
Yep. We also have a pretty cool tool called Hidden Jobs app. And now this is a tool. It's really a sort of I would call it a job board. It's a job lead website where you can go there and under your state, whatever state you're looking to work in, you can actually see companies who have made recent hiring announcements. So, for example, UPS is hiring 400 people for a new distribution center in Tennessee, for example. They made that announcement somewhere on the web or through a press release or through social media, and we actually grab that data, put it into a browsable database, and then you can get email alerts whenever a company in your state announces these new hiring leads. And so it's a way to sort of get a leg up on the competition, job search competition, and see what's coming down the road as far as new jobs go. And it's a chance for you as a job seeker to really get your foot in the door at a company who is growing, who you might like to look into more. It's a pretty cool little tool to, again, aid your job search and help you connect faster with employers who might be hiring.
You know, I had a guest on recently, Phil Rosenberg from Recareered, and he spoke about in working the hidden job market. He said that people tend to look for square pegs for square holes. And what he suggested, instead of looking for a job with a particular manager doing what you do, one of his thoughts in tapping the hidden job market was just finding firms that were going through explosive growth in related areas. So, for example, using UPS as that example, if they were hiring customer service people, or any large firm hiring customer service people, that might suggest that there are going to be sales openings as well, because the reason they have customer service openings is people are selling more. So that hidden jobs product of yours ties in very nicely with what Phil was talking about. And folks, it could be a nice way that you can apply what Phil was speaking about and have information delivered to you rather than just simply using Google to find out about stuff. Very sweet.
And Jeff, I call that company hunting. I don't call it job hunting, right? I think more job seekers need to take that approach when looking for a new gig, and look for a company that you can grow with, right? That's on a growth trajectory, that has openings, is going to have openings for the next couple of years at the very least. That's a chance for you to get your foot in the door with a growing company, because once you get in there, then the world's your oyster. Then you can really move into a new area, new departments, and grow as an employee, gain new skills, and learn a lot of new things with a growing company like that. And so I think more job seekers need to take that approach, company hunting, when looking for a job these days. I'd rather look for a company I would like to work for, that's in a cool industry or it's growing a lot, that has opportunity, and then make my mark inside of that company there.
And once they've company through hidden jobs, what do you recommend that they do to activate that information and be able to take action? Any suggestions you have?
Yeah, so one of the little buttons on there is we actually have a Google button. It actually will Google the company automatically, and more often than not, will connect you right to their career website, where you can then go apply for these jobs. And we're going to be actually adding more little features like that in the coming months to the platform as well, to help you give more context around that, and more things like connecting or checking for the company on social media, maybe checking on Glassdoor, see what the reviews are about the company. Little tools like that we're going to be adding to the listings to help give the job seeker more context around how to contact them and what it's like to work there.
And folks, be careful about Glassdoor, whether it's stuff that's being put into Glassdoor from the firm itself or the disgruntled employee who may have been let go because they weren't performing. Don't pay attention to the extreme remarks on either side of the equation. Kind of look in the middle ground for something with some texture rather than the emotional charged messages. The ones with texture are worth paying attention to. The ones where you have the upset, hurt employee or former employee, or the one who says, or the message that had to be written by management saying, you get what you put into this firm, and only great people succeed here, and if you weren't successful, it's your fault, not management. Both of those are ludicrous. So pay attention to the kind of things that are said there and disregard the extremes. Sorry, I had to interject that. I've had a bug about that because, like, Glassdoor is Yelp for employees, and we all know that Yelp has its problems too.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So take all those reviews with a grain of salt, because and that's a good point I think you made, Jeff, was to look at the middle ones, the ones in the middle, the ones less extreme. Those are the real. I think they're real truth lies.
Thank you. Are there other products that you have through Career Cloud that would be helpful to the audience?
Yeah, so one other one I'd like to mention would be a new one. It's called Job Critters, and that's a separate website off of Career Cloud. It's jobcritters.com. And this is really meant for job seekers who are on Twitter, right? So I did a show about a year ago with a girl who did her entire job search off of Twitter. She searched for jobs, she connected with the hiring managers, and she landed a job through just using Twitter to do her job search. And so I said, that was a great story. And as I looked at Twitter, there's tons of jobs being posted there every day. And so we came up with a way to search Twitter for job tweets and essentially build a Twitter job search engine around it. And so if you go on there today, you have to have a Twitter account. And once you log in, it'll actually create a TWESME for you where you can add keywords to your profile, again, to help recruiters find you. And then you can search, save, and share job tweets throughout the Twitter ecosystem. And it's a pretty cool new tool that we're pretty excited about.
That's really cool. Do you find job hunters are getting more success with Twitter than they might have a few years ago?
Yeah, I do, definitely. And I think it's still kind of a niche way to look. But if you think about it, most job boards, most employers they're all pushing their jobs to Twitter anyway. And so it's really a real-time way to connect with those jobs. Our search engine only shows you the past, I think, 9 days of job tweets. So everything you see on Job Critters is all fresh jobs being pushed out there. And you can then reply to that job tweet that who's ever posting that to connect with them in real time almost. And that was one of the things that the girl I interviewed said about Twitter was that it's really a real-time engine that connects me directly with, in many cases, the hiring manager or the recruiting person who put that job up there. So it's, I think, a pretty powerful way to look at Twitter as a job hunting tool.
That's interesting. So, folks, what we're hearing here from Chris is that hiring managers and HR people will identify themselves because they're the ones that are posting. It's not as though the listing is coming from, I don't know, I'm going to pick a corporate name, Coca-Cola's website necessarily. It's going to be someone at Coca-Cola who's put this up, and you'll be able to find out who that is. Very, very sweet. I like that.
Definitely a more personal way to job hunt, too, I think.
Terrific. It sounds like you enjoy Twitter. I don't know what it is. I'm hearing you talk about Twitter a little bit more, and you get excited as you mention Twitter. Are you using that in your recruiting?
I do. I mean, I search it for, I search profiles for talent, and I try to make, a list of those people, and just connect with them, follow them, even just a simple follow. I've made a point to follow some of the developers in my area that I might be recruiting for as a general practice, just to get on their radar a little bit. They'll see that hey, at Chris Russell, follow them, and they might check my profile out later, or at the very least I'm on their radar anyway. And so it's a good way to sort of connect with them that way. And I like Twitter. I mean, to me, it's a cool platform. I get my news out of it. I use it a lot of different ways, right? It's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. You can use it however you want. You can just listen and just follow, your favorite sports teams or the news or whatever it is, or you can engage and talk to people and make connections. And, it has a lot of uses for both recruiter, job hunter, and just the general population, I think. So it's, to me, it's probably my favorite social network out there.
It's a terrific source. I'm enjoying it more than Facebook these days. I think Facebook is broken down into one version of rant or another, at least on my wall. And it's become particularly frustrating to see all this stuff put out there. And Twitter seems much purer, particularly with regard to job search. And I also have to say, in communication as well. We're starting to come up on the end of our time with one another, and I want to make sure that we cover some additional points. So what I heard you talk about at the beginning is the importance of being found, that whether you're a job hunter or not even aggressively looking for work, it's important to put yourself in the position of being found in order to be open to opportunities that might present themselves. And then from there, we started to talk about some of the ways that Career Cloud products are able to help job hunters be active with social media in one form or another. And you discuss some of those products that are available through Career Cloud. Are there any costs associated with those products, by the way?
Actually, not really, no. Pretty much everything is free. The only thing that will cost you will be 99 cents, and that's for the Hidden Jobs app if you want to get it for iOS. But everything else on Career Cloud is totally free for job seekers. We make money other ways on the employer side, charging them for things. So.
Terrific. So, folks, there's no reason not to use these services because they are completely free, and they will help you. Like, just that one example of which was the product that allowed you to see your Facebook and LinkedIn connections and tie them in with jobs that people were looking at?
Yeah, it's called Jobs with Friends, and you can find it at friends.careercloud.com.
Cool. Very sweet product. I was playing with it over the weekend. It looks very nice, and as a recruiter, I think it'd be useful to me too.
Cool.
Are there any major points that we haven't covered that you'd want to talk with everyone about while you're here?
Yeah. So we talked about being able to be found online, and going beyond social, I think that it's important to use the job boards as well. So I'm talking about, obviously you want to be on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is really a job board these days. But sites like Indeed Resumes. Indeed Resumes is a big database of resumes that recruiters are using out there. And so if you're not on there, that's a place you need to be, I think, as well. And some of the other bigger job boards, maybe stuff like Beyond.com. I know ZipRecruiter is pretty popular these days. So there's a variety of other job boards that you can post your resume on as well. So if you really want to maximize your exposure out there, right, I think it's important to be on, say the top 5 or 6 national job boards, Monster, Indeed, Beyond. If you're a techie, you want to be on Dice, things like that. The more you spread your resume out there, the more likely you'll be picked up on by a recruiter out there doing a search. So definitely the message there is to spread your resume around and keep it out there for the world to see.
And folks, as I said a couple of shows ago, I use job boards. So as much as people tell you not to use them, I think it's the mistake that people make isn't that they use them, but they use them way too heavily vis-a-vis the results that they get. So use them, just don't spend 90% of your time using them. The statistics are the job boards fill at most 30% of all positions, and the rest come through networking. You need to balance your search out with social media and networking and connecting with people outside of job boards much more than you need to spend time on the boards. And by the way, just as an aside, folks, I'm sorry, please continue.
All right, Jeff. You can sort of lessen your reliance on them. Just set up email alerts and let them do the work for you. Right? You don't have to go on there and search every day. You can just set up email alerts, and they'll email you when the job you're looking for is being posted. So you really don't have to spend a lot of time anymore on job boards because of all these alerts you can get. So it's really a helpful part of that for the job seeker, I think.
Agreed. And if I heard correctly, in addition to some of the majors that you mentioned, you also mentioned, of course, well, Indeed is a major now, ZipRecruiter. You also mentioned, which I don't think enough people really know about. And
Beyond is one.
Excuse me?
Yep. Beyond.com is definitely a fairly sizable recruiting tool. I happen to mention it because I talked to a job seeker the other day that said she found a previous job from Beyond, so that's why it came to mind. But there's a whole slew of them. I actually wrote a post called 15 of the top job boards in the U.S. and I'm trying to find that now. But Beyond was one. Simply Hired, obviously Career Builder, another one you've heard of. There's a slew of sort of lesser known, that are still pretty big, that still get millions of users each day. Job.com or Jobs.com is one of those as well. So there's a whole slew of job boards out there. I'm actually working on an app now which will list a lot of the top job boards for both the U.S. and both niches across different industries. So keep an eye for that coming down through Career Cloud soon.
That's sweet. Hey, Chris, thanks so much to talk with people this evening. And folks, we are recording it during an evening. How can people find out more about the different apps that you have and the different products you have that will help them with their social media presence?
Well, thanks, Jeff. And I appreciate the chance to talk to your audience as well. I've always been an advocate for job seekers, and so anytime I get a chance to speak to them, I'm always happy to do that and share my knowledge. Just go to careercloud.com. Everything I've mentioned is accessible via that one website. That's our hub. And you can definitely follow me on social media. I'm at Chris Russell on Twitter. Check out my social resume. It's profile.careercloud.com/Chris. And if you got any questions or concerns, send me an email, chris@careercloud.com. So I look forward to hearing this when it's out and talking to the job seekers out there.
Terrific. Thanks for making time. And folks, we'll be back again with more advice to help you find work more quickly. I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and I want to encourage you to come over to my website, which is thebiggamehunter.us, and go exploring, because I have a ton of content there to help you find work. Of course, you can search positions I'm recruiting for while you're there, but most of the site is really geared toward helping people find work more quickly by giving better information in podcasts, in video, in blog articles, to help you learn what you need to in order to find work faster. To me, to find a job are different than the skills needed to do one, and most job hunters are sorely lacking. So most of my site is really geared toward helping you find work. Also want to ask that if your current firm is trying to hire someone, send me an email at jeffaltman@thebiggamehunter.us. Let me know who to contact and whether I should mention your name. I'd love to help your firm staff positions and help you look good in the process. And finally, for most job hunters, their resumes are at best mediocre. So I critique resumes. You can find out about my work doing that at my website. Happy to look at yours. Take a look at what I have there, and hope you find